All right, guys, in this question, we are going to see how to graph the logarithmic function with the base that is between 0 and 1. So this is 1/6, which is between 0 and 1. In order to first answer the questions regarding the domain, the range, and the vertical asymptote, what we want to do is look for the argument of the log and make sure that that's positive, because log of negative numbers and 0 is undefined. So x should be greater than 0. What that in interval notation is that it's 0 to infinity. So right here, we're going to say 0, infinity. Now, the range of the logs are powers, and power could be any number. So range is negative infinity to infinity. The asymptote, the vertical asymptote of the log, is whatever makes the argument equal to 0. So here the argument is x, and I set it equals 0, and that's my vertical asymptote. So that's going to be over here. Now I need to graph. In order to graph the log, what I need is the asymptote, which I already have, which is the vertical asymptote x equals 0. But I also need a table. And in the table of values, I just need basically 2 points. If I can get 2 points and the integer coordinates, then I can graph. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is try to plug in 1. So log of 1 is 0. Why is that? So log with any base of 1 equal to 0. Why is that? Because if I take and I write it in exponential form, which is going to be this number to this power equal to that number right there, then I'm going to say, okay, 1/6 to which power is 1? And the answer is 0, because power 0 always gives you 1. So that's why the log is always going to be 0. Log of 1 is 0. So that's 1 point. So I already have 1 point, but I need one more point. And what I'm thinking about is that if I put something like 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, this is really not going to simplify. But let's try and see what happens if I put 6. What is log with base 1 over 6 of 6? So remember that logs are powers, which means that 1/6 to which power would give me 6? Well, I can think about what are negative powers. What do they represent? So if you try the calculator, what is 1/6 to the power negative 1? It's not going to be positive 1, because if you raise it to the positive 1, that's just going to give you 1 over 6. That's not going to do anything. But what happens if you raise it to a negative 1 power? Well, negative 1 is responsible for reciprocal. So reciprocal of the fraction. So what does that mean? You're switching the numerator and denominator. And so that's going to give you 6 over 1. But what is that? That is just 6. So it turns out that log with base 1 over 6 of 6 is equal to negative 1. So I already have another point, negative 1 this time, right? Because this log right here is going to be negative 1. Okay, so let me just erase the exclamation, and this is how I got it. Okay, so there are 2 points. One is 1, 0, and the other one is 6, negative 1. Okay, so let's do that. So we're gonna first click on the log tool to highlight it. Then we are going to click on the y-axis, and then we're gonna plot our points. So at 1 we got 0, and at 6 we got negative 1. So that's the graph.